Hey, how's it going? My name is Lee. I am an artist and illustrator. I am also the host of Heavy Art Talk. And the whole goal of this channel is to promote the art and illustration in the music and metal scene. So if you're new here, welcome. This video is going to be just slightly different than my usual podcast. I'm going to talk about a trend in AI art or the result of it that isn't really being discussed as much. I wanted to provide that insight from an illustrator's perspective. So some of it is my own, but it's also, I'm trying to be a reflection of the 70 other artists that I've interviewed and that I know really well, and all of the hours that I've spent in conversation with other artists in the scene. So this has been happening since 2024, but something that's become more and more as AI art and generative AI has become more and more, part of the just overall lexicon, is that I think there's a bit of an overestimation of the use of AI art in album covers. T-shirts, flyers, they are more prevalent to AI art being used because bands don't get called out quite as much for those. But for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to talk album art. So what do I necessarily mean? AI art is being used for album covers. And just so you guys are aware, I am against AI art and I wish it never existed. But I think right now, because of the reality of everyone having to do a double take every time they see an album cover drop, there's always going to be some doubt as to the integrity, the honesty of the image that you're seeing. And that's understandable. That's unfortunately the reality we're in now. We can't, like this for example, this was created in the 80s, right? No one ever wondered, was this created by a human? Well, 2022 and onwards, we have to wonder that. But what I'm kind of getting at is that in 2025, if you just look at the numbers, most album artwork that is made by major bands or even bands in the underground is not made with AI art. Just so we're clear, there are plenty of examples of AI art being used. But if you look at it on the larger scale, it is still not, it's not like 50-50. It's more like 90% are not used with AI and 10% are. And I would love to keep it that way or improve it, just so we're clear. Now, what is the problem of this? Well, when an album drops and you go on just typical press websites for the metal and music scene, the cesspools of the internet, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, you're going to see on the comment threads, is this AI art, nice AI art, or I could have done this in 2 seconds with AI and shit like that, right? And maybe those are bots, maybe those are trolls, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, let's say these people have honest intentions and they are actually trying to just understand if something is AI or not. Out of the 70 people that I've had on this show that I know, none of them use AI. So if you see an album out there and it says any of the people who have been on my show, I can almost certainly guarantee that AI was not used in creating that image. And furthermore, you should not call them out because it's just spreading misinformation and causing more confusion. You should be applauding, if you like the image, of course, you should be applauding that the band used a human artist and that you respect all of the love and dedication and thoughtfulness that went into creating it. I'm okay with you being a skeptical person in investigating these things, but in most cases, if there was a name on that credit of an album artist, it is not using AI as of this date. So instead of being so negative about it or saying anything about AI art, please applaud those people for what they've done and make sure that bands know that this is important. The artists in this scene, just like the musicians in this scene, take pride in what they do. The effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the energy that's going into it, the creativity, that's what makes it fun and fulfilling. There are very few musicians and artists that are in this scene that are making good money. People don't do it for that reason. So shortcuts like AI are not as tempting, I think, as people in the general public think, because the whole reason we do it to begin with is not because of money. It's because it's what makes our life fulfilling. So by people thinking that everything is made with AI or even 50%, it's basically diminishing the power of illustration in the metal scene. And I think because of that, it's making people even maybe not care as much about the people who are spending so much time creating this stuff. And that's a result of AI art is to some people, the stuff that's made by hand is now more valuable, which it should be. But then there's the opposite where it's like, well, now this is a commodity. That sucks. It's going to be hard to convince people that way. And I'm obviously biased because I'm an illustrator. But I think that this cloud of doubt of just always thinking something is AI is kind of a trap that I find some metal fans being in. And it's kind of disrespectful and diminishes why we even do this to begin with. I think another thing that maybe people realize is that just like musicians, to a certain degree, kind of all know each other or they know each other's bands, reputation means a lot. So like I said, most artists that have their name out there, their face, they love what they do. There's an important thing of like their integrity and their reputation to not use AI. So just because AI is an option, it's a shitty option, but just because it's an option doesn't mean that all of a sudden artists are changing their workflows completely and using it. If anything, it's the opposite. Most people are doubling down on anything that makes it more human-made. So that's the root of the big misconception is just because AI art exists, most artists are fighting against it, 95%. And sure, some artists are more vocal about their hatred of AI, and some are just more kind of like silently doing their own thing, but they also hate it. And I think if you really love what people are putting out there, and you are a metal fan, the imagery is very important. To me, the imagery and the sound is equally important, but I know I'm not like everybody. That's a different take, right? But I think for most metal fans, you want to wear a shirt from somebody who is also a fan of the music and really gives a shit. Not just some lazy, half-baked, fucking derivative shit. Because labels, management, inflation, all this kind of shit, money is tight. And they're going to find that illustration could be an expense that they could cut, and they could just serve this slop instead. As fans, and trust me, I'm an illustrator, but I'm a fan first of both the music and the art. We can't allow this to happen. This is an expense that is needed, all right? The album artwork is incredibly important. It is an art form that needs to continue. It is part of the fandom. And right now, the real artists who are working hard, not myself, all these other people that are in this scene, give them praise. When you see a post, and it's usually not on the artist post themselves, it's on other websites that have maybe their own echo chambers and stuff, stick up for the artists. If you see something that's like, oh, this was definitely made with AI art, and you know it isn't, defend a little bit, because it's getting a little out of hand, and maybe these are fucking bots, maybe these are just trolls, but I just hate to see that instead of rewarding the hard work that goes into this, we're just questioning and interrogating artists who are doing it with, a lot of integrity. So, in summary, I'm not saying don't be skeptical, don't inspect, don't, basically try to find AI art. Like, it's just before you start to haphazardly or sloppily accuse somebody of doing something, do a little bit of research. If they have their face out there, if they have their art process out there, if they have their name on the work, their reputation is at stake. And using AI art is basically like a way to just throw your reputation in the trash can. So it's not worth the risk, so people aren't doing it for many reasons. But I just think right now, people think that everything's fucking AI. It's not. It is not. So just be a little more careful before you start accusing stuff. And this hasn't personally affected me. If you guys think I'm being defensive by any means, it hasn't. Luckily, it's more of I just see it with my peers, and it's just an annoying nuisance that they have to deal with when right now the odds are already stacked against them, and it's a fucking hard way of living. So I know the world is a tough place just in general right now, and this may seem like just kind of a small detail, but if enough people heard this and they, basically kept encouraging the artists who are really good at their craft and put a lot of love and effort into it, if we did the same thing, we did that to musicians and everyone who's spending their hard, work on this, I think it would hopefully make this scene a little bit of a better place instead of it just being about drama and negativity and rage bait. And I know that's what people click on. It's human nature, but I just want to do what I can to preserve this art form that I'm a collector of and I'm a huge fan of, and it's one of the passions I have in life. So I hope this is coherent. If you like what I had to say, feel free to comment. If you have a different take, it's totally fine as well. I'm not going to reply to anybody who's just trolling or just going to be negative for the sake of it. I don't have the patience for that. But if you have a differing opinion or a different nuanced take, feel free to comment. But yeah, if you like what this video is about, feel free to watch, some past videos. Those are all like interviews or panel discussions with other artists. And you can really see the enthusiasm and the passion that these people have. And that's really the whole point of this channel. Musicians, they get a lot of attention because obviously we're music fans when it comes to this stuff, but the artists behind it are extremely key. I think I'm talking in circles. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. See you next time.